Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account and it says ex-boyfriend, 22 male, destroyed a petroglyph and rock formation at a national park. We are currently waiting for our shuttle service back to our car, and I think I'm going to have him drive me to the nearest airport so I can fly home because I can't stand the idea of being around him for 3 days. We went backpacking in a national park. It was really his first time doing anything like this, and he was a pain in the ass from the start. He bought way too much booze and almost no water, and the springs we planned on catching were almost all dried up. He could have died had we not found one that was good. On the day we found the spring, he decided the smart thing to do was drink all his booze and fill bottles up with water. But he got so drunk. I told him I didn't like it and he was scaring me. His answer to this was to take out a camp hatchet and not only destroy a 2,000 plus or minus year old petroglyph, he also broke off several of these little lava rock knolls that were all over the place. I was disgusted and I packed up and started hiking out. He caught up to me the next day and I broke up with him on the spot. He hiked the rest of the way out screaming at me the whole way that I was a bitch. I was so relieved when we got to the trailhead because he calmed down. That was an hour or so ago. But should I report him to the park rangers before I leave? I just googled it and he could seriously do jail time for this. What should I do? Opie also adds in an edit, I called the NPS office for the area and they're going to send a ranger out to this parking lot. Now my first thought is absolutely report that, but also OP's safety at the same time, that this guy got crazy drunk, vandalized something that's 2,000 years old, and then followed OP in the middle of nowhere, I'm guessing, screaming abuse after getting dumped, following her, calling her a bitch, and all this kind of thing while he's got a hatchet at the same time. That sounds like a scary situation to me. Terrifying, in fact. And the fact that he only seemed to calm down when there seemed to be witnesses about says it all, right? But Early Escape says yes, report him. Side note, breaking up with an unstable man can be extra dangerous when alone in the woods. Opie says yeah, no kidding. He screamed at me for almost 3 hours on our hike out. I just busted my credit card buying a one-way ticket home and I'm almost thinking it might be safer to hitchhike to the airport than have him give me a ride. Mackie says yep. This is cultural violence, National Park Service words, and is an illegal activity. You have a responsibility to report it, and if you don't report it, you could be held partly responsible. Opie says thank you. The park ranger is on his way to meet at the parking lot. X doesn't know. Where's Wallace says, in my opinion, that's one of the most kick-ass reasons to break up with him and a great story for later. He was a little bitch, broke some rocks in a temper tantrum, and now Uncle Sam has him by the balls. So OP comes in with an update to this post and says, so basically my last post blew up and it was locked right in the middle of everything going down. It sucked reading people's posts wondering if I was safe or even offering me money for an Uber and plane tickets so I didn't have to ride with my ex and not being able to update. But I appreciate it so much. I was literally blown away by how many people wanted to help me out of a potentially bad situation. Obviously, I am safe and home. But that afternoon was so crazy and I'm so lucky to have run into some equally great people in the parking lot. So when we got back to the parking lot, he basically told me, get in the car, we're leaving. I told him that I wasn't sure if I was riding home with him or not. He said that he wasn't leaving me stranded and was going to go into town and get gas and I had better come to my senses by the time he got back. This super nice older lady came up to me and asked if my boyfriend just abandoned me. I said no, but I was actually hoping he didn't come back. She told me that she had hoped her husband wouldn't come back since the honeymoon, but somehow he had the nose of a coonhound, which just cracked me up. It turns out that they were there in their RV, and she invited me to sit in their AC until I got my issues figured out. It turns out they were some of the nicest people I've ever met. So from that RV is where I called the National Parks Ranger, right when my last thread got locked, and they sent a ranger out. I was really hoping they would show up about the same time my ex got back. Unfortunately, he got back first, looked around the parking lot for me for a while and texted me that I was a fucking stupid bitch and he was really leaving. I told him to please go. The Rangers got there and we talked for a long time about the damage that was done, where it was, why he had done it, etc. I was kind of hoping they'd chase him down the highway, but they said that unfortunately they don't really do that kind of stuff, but they would send in someone to investigate the damage, and if it's bad enough they can submit a federal arrest warrant and either NPS or even the FBI might pay him a visit. The Ranger said that this kind of stuff happens way more than they'd like, and almost always they have enough evidence and the penalties are stiff enough that the guilty person usually makes a plea deal and pays a pretty big fine. It makes me happy that he most likely won't get away with it. The people with the RV were so nice that they said that even though the airport I was flying out of was 150 miles in the opposite direction of where they were going, they would be happy to give me a ride. I literally fell in love with these people. The whole reason for being in an RV is to see national parks and to eat as many different Outback steakhouses as they can across the country. So they were super excited that the city we were going to had 2 different Outbacks that they could check off their lists. They even took me to get an early dinner with them, dropping me off at the airport. It was so sweet, and they insisted on giving me a $100 bill to make sure I had money for an emergency. They're going to stay in touch and maybe even come to see me at the end of the summer. And yes, eat at the Outback in town. So that's really it. I'm sick about introducing my ex to backpacking and confirming he's a piece of shit by doing damage to irreplaceable art and nature. But I'm also glad I'm safe. I dropped a whole bunch of dead weight and got some awesome honorary grandparents out of it. The Mockingbird says on the back of this one, I know this started off as a fairly shitty situation to be in, but good God, those people sound wholesome as shit. Retired old people living life really are the best. Glad you managed to get out of this mess and actually relax a bit before flying out. Opie says I know. It was so charming. They got married during college, shared each other's passions, laughed the whole time they were together. They've given me a model for what I want out of a relationship. Another commenter says, legit question, are all Outback steakhouses not practically identical? Isn't it a chain? I'm so glad this commenter's asking this because I was curious. Also OP, glad you're in a good place and away from that dick. But seriously, I need to know about the Outback steakhouses. Opie says, I've actually only ever eaten them with them and it was really good. But yes, they love that they get the same exact meal in Florida as they do in Seattle. It was just cute to see them. They literally knew more about Outback than the manager did. Evil Lurker says, how are there guys like this out there? Anger and destruction issues. Where do they come from and how do they continue to find girlfriends? Ugh, glad you made it out. The old couple sound cute as heck. I love the hound scent joke. Hope this didn't spoil your love for hiking and are able to get out there soon with a new boyfriend to share it with. Good luck. Opie said, that's the good thing is that I'd only been dating him about 6 weeks. I think a lot of it was COVID loneliness. He was friends with friends and he talked a much bigger game about being into stuff I was into than he actually was. Lesson learned for sure. And one more comment that says, thanks for the update. I'm glad your terrible experience with I'm not even sure what to call him, turned into a great one with your new grandparents. I sure do love a happy ending. It's sad that probably nothing will be done about the destruction of our national property. I sure would like the idiot to be punished, but at least you're rid of him. Opie says the Rangers said they actually take it very seriously, so they will do all they can. And he said most people are caught if there's a witness. And once again, all I can say is I'm so glad that Opie got out of that situation safe and away from that person and also got some honorary grandparents at the same time. They sound like absolutely wonderful people. I can't imagine how terrifying that actual situation was that he got so drunk that he whips out this hatchet and just starts hitting things around him. That is absolutely terrifying. And all I could think of in that situation, I know it's not exactly the same, but you know, I watched that documentary of that Gabby Petito pronunciation. I'm sorry if I got that wrong, but all I was thinking was that throughout this story, absolutely terrifying. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from a deleted user who says, am I the arsehole for not adhering to the wedding dress code? So, my sister is getting married in about a week, outside by a lake, both the wedding and the reception. She's very particular, borderline bridezilla, but she's always been that way her whole life, so I expected nothing less. She requested every female attending the wedding wear a specific style of dress, long black dress, I guess as to not take any attention away from her. I, however, am very pregnant, due August 13th pregnant, and can't imagine anyone being comfortable in a thick long sleeve black dress in the middle of summer, let alone a 38-week pregnant woman. I asked my sister directly if I could just adjust the dress a little bit, make it not as long and shorter sleeves, and she freaked out, told me I couldn't change the rules because then she'd have to do it for everyone. I told her I wouldn't subject myself to a heat stroke, and she's putting people in danger by forcing them to wear black long sleeves outside in the summer. My mother told me I was being ridiculous and I should just suck it up, but I think my sister is the ridiculous one. I think I'm just wearing a nice black dress that I can be somewhat comfortable in, or not even going. Would I be the arsehole here if I didn't adhere to my sister's strict wedding dress code? So the first commenter said to OP, I don't want to say you'd be the arsehole. Your sister is being ridiculous, but I just wouldn't go if she's being that way. No need to show up and cause a scene if that's what will happen. I don't think purposefully going against her rules is right unless she agrees. Commenter replies saying I agree. I mean, I assume this dress code was known a long time ago. OP should have brought this up at the time, when she knew it was not right before the wedding. The style of the wedding is up to the bride, and since this is a last minute request, then OP should just not go or stay inside. OP says the dress code was sent out about a month ago. This has been an ongoing issue, but at the time, she said she'd just prefer everyone to wear black, which is fine. Swifty as fuck says info. Your sister is being particular and unreasonable, but it is her day. Can you look into different black dresses with more lightweight fabric, or is she insisting on a particular long black cotton or heavier fabric? OP says she's insisting on a particular style, which is long sleeved and ankle length. I have no issue wearing black, but I asked her if I could alter the style a little bit. She basically wants all females except her and her bridesmaids to be sexless black blobs. Commenter says, everyone sucks here. Going against the dress code would be pretty assholish and probably make a lot of the pictures clash, but I feel like your sister could have inquired a bit more about what she wanted before deciding on dresses for everyone. OP says, I don't want to not wear black. I just don't want to wear long sleeve / ankle length thick dress at 9 months pregnant. The dress she sent me as an example is made of a thick material, completely impractical for summer, no matter what the event. Another deleted user says you're the arsehole. This is your sister's day. Do what she wants for an hour and then maybe change during the reception. OP says she's having the reception and wedding in the same place, outside on a lake, so there'd be no chance to change. Another deleted user says everyone sucks here. She's being unreasonable, but it's not unheard of for people to want a certain look for their pictures, and you're planning to purposely and surprise and antagonize someone on their day, which is also shitty. Why can't you just obtain a lightweight, long sleeve black cardigan or something of the like? Then you're matching all the pictures, but be able to take it off when you get overheated, or just get a super lightweight maxi dress. OP says, I don't want to antagonize her, but I also don't want to get a heat stroke from being in the 100-degree weather, or 37 Celsius. But while I'm 2 weeks from giving birth, she wants me to wear a very specific dress, and honestly it's ridiculous of her to expect anyone to wear thick black in the middle of summer. Commenter says info. Is there some sort of culture issues at play here? OP says nope, we are very white, very American, no cultural issues. She just doesn't want to be outshined by anyone, which she wouldn't be. And one more comment from Frostshark who says everyone sucks here. Bride is bridezilla. Mum is terrible for saying you're being ridiculous, and it sounds like the way you tried to address this with your sister isn't helping. Accusing her of putting her guests in danger, not subjecting yourself to a heat stroke, even if true, is not very tactful, and automatically puts your sister on the defense to dig in on her choices. For the record, I don't think your sister should be dictating the dress of anyone, not in the wedding party. That's not flat out wrong. I do not think you're in the wrong for not wanting to participate in that, but I do think you could have addressed this in a more productive, conversational manner. OP says I only said the heat stroke comment after she told me I was being a whiny little bitch about the dress code. But I did say it could cause a heat stroke, so that doesn't really matter. So, it was a month later. The OP came in with an update and said, so I posted about a month ago about my sister requesting I wear a long sleeve ankle length black dress to her lakeside wedding in summer while being 9 months pregnant, and I've gotten many requests to update. Well, I ended up having my baby like 3 days after making the post, so I was in hospital when the wedding happened, so I didn't go. My sister was there when I pushed her out and apologized for being a bridezilla, so all is well and I have a cute baby. Sorry that it was anticlimactic update, but I give the people what they want. ETA, sorry guys, no baby tax. I'm not comfortable posting photos on a public forum, especially with some creeps and assholes on here. Wow, I'm an idiot. I should absolutely update what happened at the wedding. Sorry, I got that mummy brain. She still wanted everyone to wear black, but she did go lax on the style. So like kind of a redemption arc. The photos look nice, if not a little dreary. She thought black would make things look classy. She looked beautiful though, so mission accomplished. Lena's quoted the baby bit and saying, love that, congratulations. Also, that's great to hear you rekindled with your sister, and she apologized. Banana Scare says, so every female had to wear a long sleeve, long skirt black dress to a wedding in the middle of summer. I know you weren't there, but how many people actually adhered to that rule? Another one says, I bet that was the creepiest looking wedding. Some says OP delivered. And another one says, congratulations. Is there a dress code to meet the baby? OP says, yes, a hazmat suit. I seem to see it more and more in these stories these days where, bride or groom tells everyone in the wedding party what they should be wearing. I know, in general, people wear suits and dresses, etc. Never wear white. That's always been the rules when I've grown up and gone to weddings, etc. But it seems to be becoming more and more common that the bride or groom is dictating what everyone should wear. And I find that absolutely wild. I couldn't imagine OP's partner in this situation standing there going, yeah, bride saying this, that everyone should be wearing black in the middle of summer like this, like they're going to a funeral or something, and just nodding and going along with it and saying, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Absolutely wild for me. But what do you guys make of this situation? What would you do in it? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from Delicious Syrup 5527 and says, am I overreacting for questioning my entire relationship after my husband flirted with my receptionist? I saw the transcript from when my husband called my business yesterday, and I literally feel sick. I run a small massage business and got a virtual assistant, the AI kind, to answer my work phone when I'm with clients. My husband called while I was busy, and I saw the transcript later. He was fully flirting, complimenting her voice, asking to request her specifically, literally asking her on a date instead of making an appointment. I confronted him and he laughed it off and said I'm being psycho and it was just playful. We fought for hours. Here's the thing. My ex cheated on me. I thought I was past it, but seeing my husband effortlessly charm this AI like that, is this his default with women when I'm not around? He says my trauma is making me paranoid, but I feel like I accidentally saw who he really is. Everyone's saying let it go. But would you be okay with this? Am I losing my mind, or is this a red flag? Am I the arsehole? Laz says it's one of the following. 1. You married a dumbass who is also a cheater. 2. You married a funny guy who likes to joke around. 3. Your husband is married to a dumbass who can't read the room and understand whether something is a joke. You're mad because you think it's number 1. Your husband is laughing because it's number 2. Redditors are saying number 3. So OP did update on the back of that and says, well, this escalated. Millions of people have now seen my husband flirt with my AI receptionist. Not how I expected this week to go. I spent the last 24 hours reading through thousands of comments ranging from trust your gut feeling to you need to divorce and seek professional help immediately. Both are probably partially true. So here's what happened. We talked, not fought. I apologized for my initial meltdown and explained the trauma stuff and why I spiraled so hard. He apologized too, and then said something that surprised me. He admitted he's been feeling like we've been disconnected lately, and he's unconsciously trying to get validation from other people by being extra friendly and charming. He said the AI thing was supposed to be a joke, but my reaction made him realize my friend was right about the pattern she noticed. Turns out we both suck at communication and have been avoiding real conversations for months. Me about my trust issues, him about feeling unappreciated. Both of us about how we've been roommates more than partners lately. So basically, had a viral meltdown breakdown over AI. Thousands of strangers told me I was crazy, maybe, and it somehow led to the most honest conversation my husband and I have had in years. We're starting therapy next week or so. The internet is weird, you guys, But thank you guys for the tough love, even the really tough parts. Edit, so apparently hundreds of people have messaged me calling me stupid and psycho and questioning how I can be smart enough to use AI but dumb enough to have a meltdown over it. Platypod says to OP, you guys are all going to look real fucking crazy next month when he marries the answering machine at CVS. Translator Straight says, please say I do after the beep. There is no beep, and that is how you find out she is fleeing the altar. Myron says, he's literally taking the piss because he knows it's AI. I understand past trauma having an impact and everything, but get a grip. Liars says, if he knows it's AI, that's the funniest thing ever. If he doesn't know it's AI, that's pretty bad. But I would doubt if your husband didn't know you were using AI for this. Medical says, you're weird, it's not a real person. He knows that he's messing with it and probably hoping you see it. Instead of confronting him, you went straight to Reddit, which means you got issues. Either that or this is a fake post. You literally massage naked men for a living and you're insecure about your man flirting with an AI. And a lot of people saying that he was just going down the joking path, messing around with AI, expecting OP to actually see it. But what are your thoughts on this one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from Educational Jello 486, and it says, am I the arsehole for refusing to stop washing my hands just because my coworker is sensitive to smells? I have this coworker who always says she's sensitive to smells. No one's allowed to wear deodorant, let alone perfume in the office, because she throws a mini tantrum if she smells anything except undiluted oxygen. Usually she just complains to the boss, then everyone gets a generic company-wide email saying we're a scent-free zone and blah blah blah. Eye roll. Everyone's back to work. Now, she's been extra annoying these last few weeks. She keeps saying she smells perfume. No one will admit to wearing any. We get emails about office smells almost daily now and nothing changes, so she's decided to take the law into her own hands, so to speak. Like 2 to 3 times a week, she starts walking up and down the aisles, sticks her head into each person's desk and takes a big whiff and moves on to the next desk, all to try and find the culprit. On Friday, she did this again. I had just come back from the bathroom when she got to my desk. She did a smell test on me and immediately lost it. Apparently the perfume she's been smelling the last few weeks was coming off me. After she made a scene in front of everyone, we determined what she was smelling was hand soap I used in the bathroom. She wasted enough time of my day by that point, so I professionally told her to fuck off. And I'm not going to stop washing my hands because she's a hypochondriac. The way I phrased it was like, hand washing with soap is a non-negotiable hygiene practice and I will not stop doing it. You can't reasonably expect me to avoid that. This was Friday, and now I'm dreading being back tomorrow. Our boss was off Friday as well, so I expect I'm going to get pulled in a meeting. Am I the arsehole, or are these just the Sunday scaries? I was kind of like, her walking up and down doing a sniff test on everyone, surely that's got to be wrong in itself. Susie says not the arsehole. If there is an issue with the scent of the soap, whomever stocks it will have to get unscented soap. Although at this time I'd say your workplace is justified in requiring medical documentation. Otherwise it's time for you and your co-workers to file a complaint of harassment and her creating a hostile workplace. Different says yeah, I would have serious allergic reactions to some perfume and lotions, but what we mostly did was stand for them to not sit near me. We couldn't stop people from wearing deodorant and washing their hands. That's going overboard. If she's that sensitive, she might not be able to work in an office. So OP did update the post and says, I saw a few people asking for updates, so here it is. It's not too exciting though. As I suspected, I got called into a meeting with my boss and the co-worker today. I work at a small company, so we don't have a dedicated HR department, and our boss handles these kind of issues. We ended up figuring out what happened. The maintenance guy for the building put new soap in the bathroom a couple of weeks ago. That lines up with when co-workers started smelling perfume in the office. So every time someone used the bathroom and washed their hands, she thought the smell was perfume. Probably by the time she noticed the smell and did her investigation, the smell would mostly be gone. It's only hand soap and honestly doesn't smell strong. She could never pinpoint the source. On Friday, she happened to do a smell test on me right as I came back from the bathroom, so it just happened that the smell was still strong. Just got to jump in here for a second. A question popped into my head. Is she not washing her hands herself, or does she just not go to the toilet all day or anything? Because surely she would have stumbled across this smell herself. Anyway, I'm jumping ahead here, but OP continues, my boss ended up just buying new hand soap. I think to smooth things over and placed the bottles in the bathroom. He asked everyone to please use the new unscented soaps until they can get the ones in the bathroom changed. The co-worker was making a bit of a scene during the meeting. She kept thrusting her finger at me and saying things like, "You don't respect me. You don't take my issues seriously." Which is honestly true. I don't take her issues seriously. There's times she smells something no one else can smell and she get angry at people using scents. Then I've seen her walk in the bathroom right after someone sprayed perfume and not notice anything. Last year she also demanded everyone stop using scented detergents at home. No one I talk to has stopped, including myself, but she thinks everyone has and so doesn't smell scented detergent anymore coincidentally. Anyways, I'm professional at work, so while I don't actually take her seriously, I don't express that. I feel like she was just projecting her issues with other co-workers at me. We're not friends, but I don't treat her any differently. I don't even join in when people are talking shit about her, which is a lot. The only reason I sit near her is because everyone else has asked to move within a few weeks because she's so difficult. I can tolerate her, so it's been my desk for a while. Anyway, I asked her to explain what I did that makes her feel I don't respect her. She couldn't come up with an answer, because there isn't one, and kind of just stumbled on her words. Then I asked when I can expect an apology for embarrassing me on Friday, accusing me of not respecting her today. She ended up just walking out, and when I got back to my desk, her purse was gone, so I guess she left for the day. Also, this didn't click until I was reading comments on my original post, but I guess this whole situation means she doesn't wash her hands, otherwise she would have smelled the soap right away. Glad I never had any of her stuff at the potlucks. Anyway, that's the update. That workplace needs to sort something out immediately because that's not going to get any better, and I can see that continuing to escalate in different ways. Already putting up with far too much. I mean, I've worked in an office environment where we were respectful to each other in certain ways, to certain sensitivities, etc. But as I said, the office needs to step in here because the fact that she's walking up and down conducting sniff tests on people is absolutely wild. Some people were suggesting that she's trying to push to get her own office or something away from everyone else. Other people acknowledging that maybe she does have sensitivities around certain smells. But at the same time, you can't expect everyone in the office to keep accommodating this, not using certain detergents at home, etc., etc. But what do you guys make of this situation? How would you deal with it if it was you? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, for getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.